Hello there my fellow Whovians and welcome to my new Doctor Who Classic Series episode review. Today in this review I'm going to be reviewing in fact this is actually my favourite Doctor Who story of all time. Believe it or not, because I think this story is probably one of the most unique stories in the series history, in my opinion. Because it's just got so many great stuff about it. I would definitely recommend you go and pick this up because it truly is. It's just unbelievably brilliant. But I heard it's quite an underrated story. But don't believe a word of that because the Aztecs truly is a classic. Now, I have done a DVD review of that. I'll try and post a link in the description if I can. But, I think this story was in season 2, I think it was. Or season 3, one of the two, I can't quite remember. But, so, this story was originally broadcast between 23rd of May and the 13th of June, 1964. So I'm guessing that's season 2. So I think it is season 2. I'm not too sure, but yeah. So why is it that the Aztecs is my favourite Doctor Who story? Well, it's the reason why it's unique is because first I'll read you the plot and then. I'm going to read the description on the DVD and then I'm going to tell you why I love this story so much. The TARDIS materialises in Mexico in the 15th century, where the Doctor and his companions soon discover that it is a bloodthirsty and dangerous place, with Barbara mistaken for a reincarnation of an Aztec high priest called Yatuxa. She thinks that she can put an end to the barbaric human sacrifices once and for all, but can she rewrite history without disastrous consequences? So that's the description from the DVD. So you can tell it's going to be kind of a different story from your usual Doctor Who story. Now, here's the reason why this story has a really good, unique point to it, because basically, your average Doctor Who story has something on the lines of it's either they're trying to stop a world being destroyed, or they're going to be killed. But in this story, however, for a brief period of time, the characters, and particularly Barbara, is actually in charge of where they are. Which I think was a really fantastic idea by John Luca Rossi, who is the writer of this story. And it's really, really good. I mean, I will now go on to the things of why I just absolutely love this story so much. The reason is the characters, I think, are just, they're really good, really well written. Now, one of my favourite characters is the Mad Butcher, who I'll point out on the cover there. There he is. He's right there. Now, he is a very good character, and his performance by, I can't remember the guy's name who plays the Butcher. He is so brilliant as the Butcher, because the way he moves around the sets, and speaking of the sets, they are very, very good. Like the Web of Fear, they are very, very good. Obviously, they're nowhere near like the Web of Fear, not as in good or bad, just the way they were displayed on the screen. Because, I mean, the sets were brilliant. Well, they were better than this one I got here. But, yeah. Now, I also do think that the characters are just, I mean, the characters are really well written because, I mean, not just, the main characters like the Doctor, and Barbara, Ian, and Susan. If you're not counting them, then the other characters in the story are just they're outstanding. They're really well written, and their performance by the actors and actresses who played them. I've watched this story so many times, it doesn't actually get boring. Because I don't know that many people who don't like the story, because they say they really do like the story. And I've been because when I first heard about the Aztecs, I was desperate. I was really intrigued as to how this historical story would be portrayed in Doctor Who, because I had never studied the Aztecs at school. Or I might have done, maybe when I was in primary school, but the Aztecs themselves, I mean, they're really good, like good guys in the first couple of episodes, but then, of course, Barbara decides not to sacrifice one of the, I think he's a prisoner of something, that he's done, and she chooses not to. She chooses not to sacrifice him. Now, just before that scene, well, a few scenes before that, the Doctor says one of the most key points in Doctor Who history. A point which I think Moffat has just ignored, in my opinion. But I'm not, disliking Moffat. I'm starting to respect him a bit more now, so that's good. Basically, the Doctor says, "You can't rewrite history, not one line," which I think is a really good point, and strong words he's using there. Of course, Barbara ignores him, which is a big mistake, because Barbara should have allowed what he said, which makes everything turn into a trap, and it makes the Mad Butcher convinced that she is a fake goddess, and he tries to persuade the other characters in the story that she is a fake goddess. And so the Doctor and Ian have to try and stop her identity from being given away, which I find a really good plotline. And speaking of Ian, there's a scene. Ian has a few fights in the story, but I'm not going to tell you what happens in these fights. But all I'm going to say is those fights, despite the fact that this was made in the 1960s, those fights are pretty awesome. Really good. If you watch the story, you might agree with me, because they are truly good. But I'm not going to tell you what happens in those fights, because I don't want to ruin it for you. So yeah, I mean, I'm really glad that the story is 4 parts, because if it was a 6th part, I would have probably disliked it a bit more. Because it's a really good paced story, and of course the BBC do historical stories very well, and their story is quite an amusing story in some places, because there's a particular factor of the story which sees the Doctor drinking cocoa and getting engaged, which is really quite bizarre, and it's one of the more unique things about the story, as well as the Doctor was trying to fight a villain off, but while he's off course, he's getting engaged to one of the characters. I think there's a picture on the back somewhere of it. Yeah, here it is. You can see it. That's a shame. The picture right there. It shows the Doctor drinking cocoa, and I think it's like a love potion or something bizarre like that. And but it's quite sad, because the relationship soon falls between the two characters, which it's quite emotional. but yeah, you get around it because it's Doctor Who. You have to move on. But yeah, that's. Let me think. What else is good about the story? Well, I think, like I said with the sets, I think everything was brilliantly designed. But if I had to give best performance, I think it would definitely have to be William Russell, mainly because of the fights that he has with one of the Aztecs to try and take control of an army, of which, of course, Ian can take control of an army because that might change history even more. So, yeah, John Le Carrotti written just such a perfect story. It's really good. I would definitely, like I said, recommend you go out and buy it. So, best performance has to be William Russell. And as for my personal rating, I'm going to give this story, if I could, which I can't, I would have given it 11 out of 10, but on this occasion I'm giving it a 10 out of 10. So I hope you find time to watch it, because it truly is one of my favourites. And just before I finish, I got my first series scheduled with all the episode reviews put on, so there's going to be 2 from each Doctor's 1 to 7. Now, the Weather Fear review was a pilot episode to see how, and I would just like to thank everyone who watched that, because it's got now over 170, about 170 views, and I'm really grateful to those who have watched it and liked it and commented on it, so it really means a lot. So, so for the first Doctor, of course, we've got this review and the War Machines. Second Doctor, we've got Evil of the Daleks and the Seeds of Death. Third Doctor, Spearhead from Space and Planet of the Daleks. Fourth Doctor, Sontaran Experiment and Logopolis. The Fifth Doctor, The Visitation and the Warriors of the Deep. Sixth Doctor, Vengeance on Varos and Mind Warp. Seventh Doctor, Dragonfire and Remembrance of the Daleks. So that's going to be the first series schedule. Now, I hope you enjoyed my episode review, and of course the next episode review will be of the War Machines, so stay tuned for that. And so yeah, thanks guys for watching. Like I said, buy the Aztecs, it's really, really good. And comment, rate, subscribe, you know, all the cheesy stuff that people say in their videos. And I shall see you soon for, well, the War Machines. But I may do some separate videos in between that. So, also I'd like to say that on Sunday, TJ Pyramid, if you're watching this video, we will be uploading the review of Talons of Weng Chiang, so make sure if you haven't already to subscribe to Team Doctor Who, because that's me and my friend's shared channel. So thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you guys soon.